And joining us now on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome back a woman who's written another one of her great Baxter family novels. She's New York Times best-selling author Karen Kingsbury. The brand new book is called To the Moon and Back, and she joined us by telephone today. And Karen, good to talk with you. How are you?
Good to talk to you, too. I'm doing very well, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah, you're up in Tennessee, right?
I am in Nashville.
How are things up in Nashville?
We are doing really well. We had that Alberto storm pass through.
That's what I was saying. We had some of that here. I wondered how you made out.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah, we're doing well. We're doing very well.
Good. And we've had our share down here. We had the hurricane last September, and a little too early for that this year. So we don't like those.
I know it. Too many.
Well, first of all, congratulations not only on this book, but the previous book, and of course the series, the Baxter family novels, which have been really unbelievably successful. Anytime, I guess, a novelist sits down the first time with that blank sheet of paper, now I guess a blank screen, you always wonder how it's going to work. But boy, they've really been done well.
Well, thank you. The Baxters have taken on a life of their own. I started writing about them 15 years ago, and at first you kind of needed to follow along, and now they're background characters. So To the Moon and Back, my new book, you don't need to have read any of them. You can just start right there and pick right up, in the story, and maybe you might want to know more about them later. But TV show is coming out in the fall with the Baxters, so lots of excitement.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to ask you about that. Is that on the Hallmark Channel?
It isn't. Hallmark did a great job with some of my books into movies, but a lot of my books are just really too deep for what the Hallmark Channel wants to go through and wants to air. So this is actually with Roma Downey, her company Lightworkers, and MGM Studios, and it'll be available this fall on a platform that I can't yet say, but I can tell you that you have it on your devices and TVs, and it's very easy to have accessibility to.
Oh, very good. Yeah, well, maybe we can have you on down in the fall before it comes out. I'd love to talk to you about more details at that time. Well, yeah, Roma Downey and, of course, her husband practically own television now with all their shows. So that's good people to be connected with.
Yes, they really are. They're great people.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. Well, let's talk about this book. And again, anytime I talk to a novelist, I don't like to give too much away, so I won't. But I know this takes place after the Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City bombing several years ago is part of the story, right?
It is. So it's set against the backdrop of that tragedy happened in 1995, of course, and it was the two characters in the book, Brady and Jenna, were 5 years old when their parents were killed in this tragedy in the fictitious book, my book To the Moon and Back. And now they're 28, and they met just once when they were 16 on the anniversary of the bombing. And they've sort of spent the years ever since kind of trying to find each other and trying to find healing, as this tragedy didn't just happen to the world or to the city or to the United States. It happened to them personally.
Yeah, and it involves obviously a love story and searching for someone. So it has that type of a story to it. When he decided to continue this series, which has again been so successful, now this is based on something that. A thing that happened, maybe not this particular story, but it's based on real events. So that kind of brings reality and the fiction together, doesn't it?
It does, and I like doing that because I think as people read a book like To the Moon and Back, my new release, it's going to touch them where they are having their own tragedy. And everyone has that moment where they know there was that 1 minute before they got the news or they had the breakup or, has experienced a loss or an accident. And then the next minute that thing happened. And after that, they've got to figure out how to find healing and how to be a survivor. It's something that unites us when it's a national tragedy, but it's something that unites us as people because it's part of being a human that you're going to experience loss. So when you read a book like Love Story, and like I said, the Baxters are kind of background characters in this one. They're always around. They're helping be matchmakers in this case and trying to get these two people to find each other. But there's always that underlying piece that says, what are you personally going through, and how does this speak to you? And I think that's the kind of fiction that I like to write. It's a love story, it's a tearjerker, but at the end of the day, that you put it down and you have hope toward your own situation.
Ashley Baxter is the character that connects with these other two characters in the book, right?
She is, yes. During a spring break trip, they're at the memorial there, and she meets Brady and just feels compelled to step into the story.
I didn't realize, till read through it a bit. There's a survivor tree there. I didn't realize that's what they had there as a memorial. So that's actually there, right?
It is actually there, and it's a big part of the book of my new book, To the Moon and Back. The survivor tree is an American elm tree that actually stood across the street from where the Alfred P. Murrah building stood before the bombing. And when the bomb went off, it was decimated. I mean, it literally, branches were sheared off, the bark caught fire, and you actually had the trunk receiving all of this shrapnel that came and embedded itself in the trunk. So they didn't cut it down because it was evidence. You could tell from the shrapnel the trajectory of where the explosion happened, so they left it standing even though it was clearly dead. Well, a year later, they gathered around for the one-year anniversary, and someone noticed tiny little green branches coming out of this charred remains of this tree. And today, 23 years later, it stands as one of the biggest trees in Oklahoma City. You could put 30 people under the canopy of its branches. Wow. And it's a living reminder that beautiful life and love and hope can come from the ashes of whatever tragedy you're facing.
Yeah, it's a nice symbol within the book. Of course, it actually exists. People can actually go see it. Again, Karen Kingsbury, our guest. To the Moon and Back is the name of the latest Baxter family novel. And again, I might have asked you this before, but I think people are interested. When you write a continuing series, even though this has other characters in it, do you have to kind of keep a separate place in your computer to kind of keep track of where the characters have been, or is it all in your head, or how do you do that?
It's all in my head. It's funny. I think of it like a family that I really know. So you think of your own family. You don't need charts or pages, and it's just all alive in my heart. And I think that's part of what God does. Like when He gives me a story, it's very much a movie in my head that is very real, and it becomes part of my life, like part of my own heart. So I can tell where they are. I know what they're doing. I can see them, and I don't need any charts to keep track of it.
Yeah, it's interesting to because I know the audiences that read the book, they pay attention. I'm sure some of them probably send you notes, and if you have something there about a character, they follow it pretty close, right? They're pretty accurate.
Oh, they do. They'll remind me. I mean, if I have somebody at the wrong high school, they'll say, "Oh no, they graduated from this high school." Right. They know people better than I do, and sometimes.
It's almost like the soap operas. People really get involved with the characters, and they know it better sometimes than the actors do that portray them, right?
I mean, seriously, they really, really do. It's been just such a beautiful thing to watch this family kind of hit the hearts and the souls of the people who are the readers. There's millions of people who are living better, loving better because they read a novel. So, right. I like to think of it that Jesus liked to tell you straight sometimes, but when He wanted to touch your heart, He told a story, and I get to do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, again, the name of the book is To the Moon and Back, a Baxter family novel. We've been talking with Karen Kingsbury today. I should have mentioned you also teach writing at Liberty University. Do you still do that?
I do, yes. They just opened up the Karen Kingsbury Center of Creative Writing at Liberty, and we have a minor degree now, the first time Liberty's had a writing degree, and then we'll have a major very soon, and not long after that we should have an MFA that will allow students to come in and actually go through the experience in their master's program of writing their first novel.
I always thought, and I know a lot of colleges have writing programs and all that, but that would be something, why not teach aspiring authors at least a course or two how to write a book, whether they want to do it for a career or not. Why not go someplace where you can learn how to do it? So that's great to hear.
Yeah, super exciting.
Well, give out your website, Karen. I know some people out there, if they don't know it, they like to. So where can they find you in the book?
The best place is my website at KarenKingsbury.com. It's KINGSBURY.com. And they can see on the landing page all the links of where to buy the book, To the Moon and Back, and also a video trailer that we put together, a very emotional 1-minute piece that they can watch that kind of gives you a glimpse of what was in my heart when I wrote the story.
Great. We'll also have a link on our website as well. People can get it that way. But Karen, pleasure talking to you again. And I don't know if you're going to do publicity for the TV through Elise or not, but if not, please let us know. We'd love to have you on, talk about that when those TV shows come out. But thanks for joining us today.
I would love to do that, and I'll make a note of it for sure. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.